Hello, good morning, and welcome to today's program, The Roundtable. My name is Issa Nu. I can see Nigerians preparing towards the Independence Day that is forthcoming, and we can also see the happiness in the face of Nigerians that are definitely preparing towards this time. Why the political campaigns started, or definitely is going to start today, 28th of September. So many Nigerians definitely will be looking at so many issues, most especially as it concerns the issue of the politicians within the country. But then, you cannot discuss issues over time without also looking at how Nigerians are faring. And how do we look at issues like this? Most especially when we have a long history of what Nigeria is all about. So the economic history of Nigeria falls into three periods. They are the pre-colonial, the colonial, and the post-colonial or independence period. The pre-colonial period covers the longest part of Nigerian history. The colonial period covers a period of 60 years, 1900 to 1960 or 1900 to 1960, while the independence period dates from 1st of October 1960. Since independence in 1960, the development efforts and outcomes in Nigeria varied from time to time, just as the development paradigms and influence nationally and externally. Although the country is politically independent, it has not been free to galvanize the resources in the interest of the citizens to achieve the desired level of development. In general, the correlation between available resources and development outcomes in Nigeria has been perverse. The market fundamentalists pressurize the country to abandon its planning strategy, while at the same time discourage the necessary capital investment to ensure sustainable growth and development. The situation is exacerbated by military intervention, which aggravated political instability and stymied democratic governance. Since 1999, when the aberration was put in abeyance together with its stressful and corruption-ridden neoliberal economic management system, opportunities have been created for economic emancipation and sustained growth. So the outcome was an emerging economy with relatively stable exchange rate, fairly predictable macroeconomic environment, and good prospect for growth. The GDP growth rate, which was only 1.1% in 1999, recorded an average growth of 5.4% between 2000 and 2004, and rose to 6.9% in 2005, and then value added in manufacturing grew at an average of 8.8% between 2000 and 2004. Capacity utilization rose from about 34% in 1999 to over 53% in 2007. And then when you look at this analysis, you definitely start wondering what position are we now in our current economic trends. So now the first 10 years in the 21st century, that is from 2000 to 2010, stand out in terms of the spirited and innovative attempts to develop the economy. The independence of poverty decreased, or let me say the incidence of poverty decreased from 65.6% in 1996 to 54.4% in 2004. It is already known that in sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria's GDP is second only to that of South Africa. But during the decade, it experienced dramatic change from US dollar of $45.98 billion in 2000 to 207 US billion dollars in 2008, and ranks among the highest growing economies in the world as of that particular time. So the GDP growth rate increased from 5.4% in 2000 to 6.0% in 2008 of the 17 countries that gained independence in 1960. Nigeria ranks 9th in terms of the per capita income in 2000. But its position improved in 2008. However, when compared to other African countries that gained independence in 1960 and other countries such as South Africa, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Korea, Democratic Republic of Congo, and some other countries like Belgium and Hong Kong, you discover that Nigeria ranks among the countries with the lowest life expectancy rate in 2000 and 2008, But then the situation today is something that we definitely have to look out for. How can we improve the condition of the Nigerian economy? But then today, our focus will be based on how do we fare pre-colonial era? How do we fare during the colonial era? And how do we fare, or how are we faring post-colonial era? So this is what we'll be discussing today on the roundtable with our guest. Will be coming from the National Open University of Nigeria. Is a lecturer and an economic expert. I will be discussing that just after the break. So let's go on this short break, and when we return, the conversation starts.
Please give us the permission to search you. You can go.
Is this a movie? If it happened.
Officer, I beg carry and go station. When our Oga come, you come meet am for there.
Hey, Mr. Man, I cannot do that.
Tell your Oga to come to our station when he returns.
Am I in a movie? If it happen,
Mama, please. Mama, please. Thank God you're here. Do the needful.
Mama, please, just 3 weeks
Madam,
now.
why did you invite us to come help chase your tenant now?
This is a civil matter now.
Is this a movie? If it happen,
If we follow
The new police law.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite. This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television Star Times Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, and UHF Channel 38.
Our first efforts at democracy and self-government were abruptly arrested in the mid-60s, largely as a result of the incongenial atmosphere engendered by the uncompromising stance adopted by the political parties of the First Republic. Thus, opportunities were lost for our people to interact and learn to accommodate different points of view for the betterment of the country. We must not allow that episode to repeat itself. The new system that will have adopted presents us with yet another opportunity to achieve national integration, which is a prerequisite for the building of a strong and virile nation.
Nigeria as a free state in 20th century Africa is the need to revive the stature of man in Africa and restore the dignity of man in the world. Nigerians believe passionately in the fundamental human rights. We regard all races of the human family as equal. Under no circumstance shall we accept the idea that the black race is inferior to any other race. I appeal to all our leaders, far and near, to forget the wounds which were inflicted in cause of our internecine altercations. The love of our country should outweigh the love of our petty selves. The enjoyment of individual freedom under the law should mean more to us than our self-centered party programs and manifestos. Common dangers and common enemies alert us on the need for common security. Come and join Abubakar with me, Sadauna, Awolowo, Akitola, Osarebe, Okpara, Ikoku, Aminu Kano, Ibrahim Imam, and Taka. Let us bind the nation's wound and let us heal the breaches of the past so that in forging our nation, there shall emerge on this continent a hate-free, fear-free, and greed-free people who shall be in the vanguard of a world task force whose assignment is not only to revive the stature of man in Africa, but to restore the dignity of man in the world.
Sir, can you please give us the permission to search you? You can go.
Is this a movie? If it happen,
Officer, I beg carry and go station. When our Oga come, you come meet am for there.
Hey, Mr. Man, I cannot do that.
Tell your guy to come to our station when he returns.
Am I in a movie? If it happen,
Mama, please.
Mama, please.
Thank God you're here. Do the needful.
Mama, please, just 3 weeks now.
Madam, why did you invite us to come help chase your tenants now?
This is a civil matter now.
Is this a movie? If it happen,
if we follow
The new police law.
Welcome back. I'm sorry for that break. But then, you've all looked at the situation in Nigeria, and you know definitely that at some point, so many persons who were alive then definitely will tell you that there was that particular point in time when things were good and the Nigeria economy was booming. We are well respected across the globe, and also, if you look at all those issues at that particular point in time where petroleum or crude oil was discovered, you know definitely that was where we had that swing with respect to all that was happening or all that is happening currently. And issues like these are issues that we shouldn't just leave. With time, we have to address so many of these issues, most especially the issues that has to do with agriculture, industry, and services, our trade. But then we've also seen one major sector that is triumphing, and that is the sector of the ICT. The digital economy revolution definitely is taking place, and Nigerians are also seeing that you cannot live in this 21st century successfully without having a kind of grab with the ICT industry. That is very, very important. But then, how were we faring during that era where we had issues of agricultural excavations, and then we are getting all issues that has to do with our agricultural setting very, very well. So now there are certain questions definitely we will definitely be asking, and then when our guests come in, and that is the major question that says that at what point did we actually have a diverse thought with our economic principle? At what point did that change take place? So those are some of the issues that we'll be bringing out this morning. So we also make a major question that has to do with what were the economic development of Nigerians during the colonial period? How did they manage the resources we have? And those that were also saddled with the responsibility of managing it, how did they manage it? But then, before the guest comes in, let us quickly put up our phone line. The number to call is 09057408127. I'll take that again, 09057408127. So that's the number to call for you to tell us your mindset towards Nigeria becoming 62 on 1st of October. And how do you feel with the present economic situation we are in now? And then you also know that election is also fast approaching, and today is the date that was set for the commencement of political campaign. And these are the issues that will definitely come up during the point of political campaign. How far have we been, and how prepared are we to make sure that, yes, we have a country that we can call our own with respect to that? So with that, I would like to also take note on this particular issue. During independence, so many issues were raised, and with that, so many issues need to be managed with the current situation on ground. But then still, let me just quickly go for this break, and when we return, our guests will be on set, and we'll continue the conversation.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite. This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television Star Times Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, and UHF Channel 38.
Welcome back, and now we have our guest in the studio. Good morning and welcome to the roundtable this morning. I can imagine the stress you have to pass through before coming down here. I also understand that, yes, today seems to be a very busy day in Abuja, having traffic all across the country. Sorry, all across the FCT. So now that you are here, the issue of independence is very, very important. Every year we celebrate Nigeria independence, and how are you preparing yourself towards that particular celebration this year?
Thank you very much. It's a very great opportunity to celebrate our freedom. And when you talk about freedom, definitely, when you are free, and you are free indeed, then there will be development, there will be progress, and it will be a better society.
Okay, now let us quickly move on to what we aim to discuss this morning. The issue of economy is very, very important. And you know, every developing country wants to see that, yes, they are always at the right part of the book, most especially when it comes to development. So now, what is your take with regards to Nigerian economy pre-colonial era and then during the colonial period?
Nigerian economy. When you talk about the economy, you are talking about how a nation generates and uses its resources. So going down memory lane, when we look at Nigeria's economy, it is divided into three, and that is the pre-colonial, the colonial, and the post-colonial economy. So looking at the economy at the pre-colonial level, you discover that the economic system that was operated upon then was the traditional economic system. The Nigerian state, even though it was not nomenclated or called Nigeria, as the case may be, but the place, the people, the territory, which we refer to as Nigeria today, operated that primordial kind of economy, where the people predominantly operated the agrarian society. Agriculture was the base of the pre-colonial economy, where people, both at the subsistence level initially, then with the contact with the Portuguese in around the 15th century and some other nationals, you discover that that contact now translated into moving the economy from the subsistence agriculture to commercial agriculture, where cash crops were introduced, and Nigeria at that point started exporting some products like palm oil to other nations through the middlemen and the Portuguese explorers. Then at colonial Nigeria, the colonialism had some greater nations occupying or taking over the control of other smaller nations for their own interest. Although it will be said from so many theories and doctrines that it was the white man's burden to develop or to civilize the black man, but in the real sense of it, it was for their own economic gains that they had to come down. So with colonialism, the economic system also came along with colonialism. So the economic system operated by the colonial powers that colonized you definitely was extended to their colonies. And that was how the colonial economic system was.
Okay, now that not just Nigeria had that challenge of colonialism, some other countries also have same challenge with colonialism. But then post-colonial era seemed to be more different, but it is not still deafening from what was practiced during that colonial era. Where the moment Nigeria got independence in 1960, so many things changed. And but still, we still have that affiliate, other appendages of what happened in the past. But at the same time, again, the economy seemed to be a bit better as at that point, and then compared to what we see today. What's your take on that?
Yes, at colonialism, Nigeria was going to coast to victory. The economy was better. However, along the line, what I would say actually affected the Nigerian economy post-independence is the civil war that we had to fight. Remember, we said the economy has to do with how you generate wealth and how you use or manage that wealth. Along the line, fighting a war, economy has some basic economic questions. What to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce, that is, which population are you targeting to produce, and the plan of growth, if any, and how that plan can be sustained. So with the Nigerian Civil War, at that point, 67 to 70, you discover that the attention was shifted from economy to how to even secure or safeguard the nation. The head of state then, General Yakubu Gowon, was quoted as saying before the Civil War that the problem of Nigeria was how to dispense their money, was how to use their money. The problem was not how to generate money, but the problem was what to use the money for. So at independence and up to that point, Nigeria was doing well. We already started exporting crude oil, if you remember. And at that primary level of production, which is the practice of agriculture, farming, mining, extraction, that's the primary level of the economy. So we're exporting crude oil and we made a lot of foreign earnings. But with the war that came in, that the Nigerian government had to fight, it destabilized so many things. And even after the war, you discover that there were the 3 R's: reconstruction, rehabilitation, reconciliation. And that too cost a lot of money.
Okay, now you've mentioned that at some point we were successful in managing our agricultural produce, and that was even our mainstay of the economy until oil was discovered, as crude oil was discovered. But then, if you look at that same period where we had issues with the Civil War and also trying to, as much as possible, to secure the country, there was also that particular time where we had regional government, where the regions managed these resources and it was properly managed. But then after that, we had a unity kind of, or a central form of government. Have there been any major achievements with regards to when you compare both form of governance, looking at the regional and then the central form of governance that we practice today in terms of the economy?
Yes, there have been a very big break. Positive one, if you ask me, because the different regions under regional government, what was done then was each region generated money from what was available within their own zone. But as a united nation that we have as one country in Nigeria, what it means is that what is produced in the north, in the south, in the east, in the west, are all harnessed together to bring about what we have as our national revenue. And that national revenue goes a long way to bring about development. What it means is that what the funds from one particular region could not, the kind of project that could not be embarked upon, as at that time, with the resources generated from a region, when put together from the various regions in Nigeria today, you discover that these regions, what they have produced, when put together, can carry out a major project that will be beneficial to the nation as a whole. So there is positive development, there is progress. It is better as a united country as compared to when we had regional government.
But some people also do believe that the issue of having a central form of governance has really made their region not to progress. Most especially when you look at the economic situation across the 6 regions we have in the country. Could that be true?
No, that cannot be true. That cannot be true.
Because they believe they manage the resources when it was regional than when it has a central form of governance.
Yes, the problem with that and that kind of ideology is the fact that there must be transfer of loyalty from semi-principalities and other regions to the central government. You cannot give out something and still believe that you cling on to or hold on to it behind. Definitely, when you have a strong belief in nationalism, when you have the strong belief of patriotism, whatever is generated from your region and goes to the central government, as far as the government is performing, there is no need to begin to say this comes from my region or this does not come from my own region. The managers of the economy, they are not from one region. Remember the system of governance that we operate in Nigeria. We have the National Assembly made up of the Senate and the House of Reps. There is no region, there is no constituency that does not provide its representatives to that place. So when you begin to cast aspersion that one particular region is being favored as against the other regions, those that are claiming not to have been favored, they have their own representatives there too. And they voted them into power. They brought them into power as representing them. So what are their representatives doing there? So it brings to light the fact that no region is marginalized in the real sense of it. And when you look at marginalization, it is a relative term. What is marginalization to you is not marginalization to another person. When you ask people from different regions to define marginalization, their definition is going to be tilted in their favor. There will be some level of coloration that will favor them. And that is why I say that there is no marginalization in the real sense of it.
Okay, now what is your take with the present economic realities in Nigeria?
But Nigeria is growing, because when you look at the economy, what is used to determine the level of the economy of a country is the GDP. And it is not Nigerian government that takes the statistics. The statistic is taken by the Central Statistics Office, which is a global organization. In reality, the statistics that we have today concerning the Nigerian economy shows that Nigerian economy has moved by 3.6% in 2022 as compared to 2021 first quarter, where we had 1.8% growth. So from 1.8 to 3.6, we can say that it is a positive growth. However, there are so many issues that are affecting the economy that the government needs to still put it right, as the case may be.
Okay. Now, if you are to assess the present economic situation we have now, and then you've also mentioned that there is a positivity with the present economic situation that we find ourselves. What can you say with regards to the issue of the naira-dollar ratios that we've been having problem with for some time now?
Well, the exchange rate is coming from, it's a global phenomenon. Nigeria as a nation cannot begin to talk about its naira in comparison to the dollar without looking at its export. We're talking about the GDP. The GDP is about private consumption, in addition to government investment, government expenditure, plus export minus import. When you look at all of these things, we started with private consumption or individual consumption. What do our people consume? What do Nigerians prefer to consume? Today, when you talk about maybe rice, for example, many Nigerians will prefer foreign rice, which goes for 40-something thousand naira. The foreign rice is not produced in Nigeria. You are buying it from another country. And you have to pay them in their own currency, which is dollar, which is one of the acceptable medium of exchange at the global market or global level. So with that, with the consumption rate or the consumption desire of the Nigerian citizenry, it becomes difficult to say that you have the value of your naira scaled up as compared to the dollar that you are buying everything with at the global market. Then beyond that, government investment. What is our government investing in? Most of our investments will definitely also attract bringing down so many things from outside Nigeria using dollar to purchase those things. Government expenditure too. What do we spend our money on? Then when it comes to export as against import, what is the volume of what we are exporting as compared to the volume of what we are importing? Nigeria's major revenue comes from the oil. And the oil market, as it is, appears to dwindle. It goes up, it comes back. Then beyond that, with other countries having the supply of the same oil that we have, it becomes difficult for us to sell our own at an exorbitant price to earn more dollars. Then beyond that too, we have cases of oil theft. When you look at Nigeria, this is the only product that, this is the major product that brings in foreign currency. And this product is being stolen instead of being taken out by the government alone to bring in the expected foreign currency that can scale up the naira. The oil is being stolen by individuals, by groups, and agencies that there have been series of information about. People, names have been called, organizations, people have been mentioned as being engaged in this oil theft. But at the end of the day, until that is taken care of, until our source of income is properly handled and managed, there is just no way that the value of the naira can be upscaled to equal or to come up compared to that of the dollar. Remember that there was a time that when we were growing up, when they tell you 1 pound, they are talking about 2 naira. When they want to talk about something of 14 naira, they will tell you 7 pounds, right?
Yeah.
So it means in this country, there was a time that a pound was equivalent of 2 naira. Then it continues to change, and today we are talking of 500, 400 naira to a dollar, as the case may be.
That's one aspect I would like us to also discuss more on. But then let us just go on this very short break, and we'll return back to look at the inflation that we are currently facing, of which I believe you also listed some of the issues that we are facing currently. So let's go on this short break. Yes, please just. You know the.
Sir, can you please give us the permission to search you? You can go.
Is this a movie? If it happen.
Officer, I beg carry and go station. When our oga come, you come meet am for there.
Hey, Mr. Man, I cannot do that.
Tell your guy to come to our station when he returns.
Am I in a movie? If it happen,
Mama, please. Mama, please.
Thank God you're here. Do the needful.
Mama, please, just 3 weeks
Madam,
now.
why did you invite us to come help chase your tenants now?
This is a civil matter now.
Is this a movie? If it happen,
If we follow
The new police law.
if it happen.
Welcome back. I'm sorry for that short break, and we needed it to fix up one or two issues. But then, let me quickly ask you this question. Looking at the situation now, we are having issues of inflation over 17%, and that is not very, very good. But some people still say that, yes, we are still doing better despite that. What is your take on that?
Well, the issue of inflation, that the persistent rise in the prices of goods and services. Yes, there is inflation, but when you want to talk about the economy, just like I mentioned the other time, agreed, the prices of goods and services are on the rise, but from the current indices that we have before us, it shows that Nigeria is doing better. You will recall that by the data and figures that are available from the authorities that are supposed to take that decision, it shows that Nigeria today has about $441 billion in terms of GDP, followed by South Africa with $418 billion. The Nigerian economy still stands as at a very good level. The inflation incidents in Nigeria, some of it are caused by our own people. People hoard materials or products when products that were bought at a very cheap price. Because there is a rise in the exchange rate, the person selling will begin to sell at that particular new exchange rate price. Meanwhile, what you have was being purchased at an old rate. At that point, you discover that the sellers are the people that are actually creating some of this inflationary situation we have in Nigeria.
Okay, now you've mentioned this, and you know, definitely every leader wants to see that they have a stable economy, and they want to see that the country they lead is progressing or progress with time, most especially in a democratic setting like ours, where you have just 4 years. Every president come and go in 4 or 8 years tenure. So now, if you are to advise the president now, having this short window to be on that particular seat, what do you think the president needs to really put in place, most especially the issue of hoarding of goods, and that is really affecting the economy?
Well, what affects the economy, Nigeria and other economies across the world, there are several factors. You know, the state-society gap, unemployment, poor educational system, poor human capital development, and several other factors that are there affect the economy. And at present, you discover that nobody even talks about the economy. When you meet people in a vehicle, in a garden, or in any fora, the discussion today is politics. Attention has been shifted from the economy to politics. We have the problem of corruption too, which even makes the policies that are formulated not to be implemented. There is equally lack of continuity of programs and policies. The programs of APC, for example, if PDP maybe comes to power, they will jettison it. The programs of PDP, if APC comes to power, they will jettison it. So for there to be a stable economy, care must be taken to look at the nation and the economy beyond party politics. We shouldn't see an economic policy as APC or PDP or Labour Party or any other party's policy. The policy should continue. The programs that are in place before an administration comes to an end should continue. So the programs that the present government are running should equally be made sustainable when the next government comes in. Between now and May 29 is still a very long time. Within the period is when the 2023 budget will be made. So care must be taken to see that the government stabilizes the economy, and so that when there is another government, what they will now do is to build upon the existing structures that have been laid by this particular government.
You've also mentioned that we're having a situation where everything seemed to be, when you discuss about the issue of the economy in the past, the way we used to discuss it, it has now been changed to the issue of politics. And then today is the official day that was declared for campaign to begin. And you know, some of these presidential aspirants or candidates, sorry, they also have their own plan. I'm sure some of them have started rolling out their blueprint if they eventually win the election. So 1st of October is also by the corner, and today being the opening date for campaign. What will be your advice to these candidates who are contesting, most especially looking at the situation of security, the situation of the economy, the issue of unemployment, corruption, and the rest of it like that?
The candidates, along with their parties, before now they already have their blueprint. The problem with the Nigerian economy and policies is not about formulation, it is about implementation. Every party will come up with a very good policy, but at the end of the day, once the party comes on board, it's a different ball game entirely. And rather than the opposition party standing as real opposition to checkmate the excesses of the ruling party, what we see in Nigeria is, at the end of the day, people begin to deflect into the ruling party. And what is supposed to be opposition will rather turn to be praise singing, or they will close their eyes against the ills of the ruling party. So for an incoming government or party or candidate, my advice is that any candidate that eventually comes to power should stand or live by his promises. The candidate must stand and live by his promises, because once that is done, that is when we can say that the democracy that we have actually clamored for, even before independence, is a good thing. If not, at the end of the day, we will be worse off.
Okay, lastly, the president also had some special intervention programs, and do you really see most of these candidates, if eventually they win, they'll be able to maintain the status quo with respect to the MSMEs, and then the follow the money or track the money, the policy that was made by the president?
Yes, it depends on the candidate. By the time a candidate comes to power and he does not see it as the policies of the former administration, most candidates, when they come in, they want to make their own name. They want some projects to be mentioned in line with their own name. This was what this government did when they came in. They don't want to say, or they don't want it to be said that they continued other people's projects. It will be, to them, they feel it will be seen as completing what has been started by the previous administration. But until that kind of impression is taken away, then we cannot achieve what we need to achieve.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof, for joining us this morning on the roundtable. And we hope to have you some other time, because issue of economy is very, very paramount. While we are also discussing politics, the issue of economy cannot be kicked to the sideline, because at the end of the day, it will still come to the front burner. That's what Nigeria will definitely be facing. And this is how far we can go on the program, the roundtable. My name is Isanu. Have a wonderful day and stay blessed.
Thank you.